Chapter 33. Jamal and Junior Johnson play golf. Jamal Johnson once more landed his ball behind a big gum tree just off the dog leg in the fairway. The frustration had returned. Yes, golf would be the funnest thing in the world if one were good at it, but Jamal's game just never seemed to improve. He would work on his driving and his putting would deteriorate. He would work on his putting and the middle game would do him in. He would chip and pitch and punch and his drive would slice anew. Jamal would have given up the links for fishing if he had been given the choice. Both activities would provide the opportunity to talk openly in privacy, to hide in plain view. But Junior made the valid point that snoops could more easily plant a bug on a boat than they could monitor an entire golf course. So the cousins played golf. Both duffers have been bitten by the hottest marketing concept going, timeshare country clubs. Today, Jamal was Junior's guest at Briarwood, a once all-white, all-Gentile club that had grown quite diverse after going timeshare. Junior and Jamal were a rare dyad amongst foursomes of Arabs and Japanese and Colombians. The course had never looked sharper, even in the oil days. The fairways were lush. The greens were fast. Colorful tropical plants lined the rough. It was as much golf cathedral as golf course. Junior chuckled from the safe distance of a cart as Jamal wasted a stroke planting his ball back on the fairway. A bright Texas morning. Junior would relish the moment if it were not for his brother Ulysses' unpredictability. Yes, his father's recent stroke was a concern, but the family was doing all they could do for him. His father's stroke did not threaten the welfare of the entire Johnson family. Ulysses' big mouth did. Things should have been looking up. The bio attacks had opened employment slots that might just get filled by the children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and allies of Tecumseh Sherman Johnson Sr. The untimely demise of most of Greater Houston's bail bondsmen set the stage for avail bail bonds to steal the show. And Junior's wife was pregnant once more. Maybe this time she would deliver a baby. Maybe. Okay, let's cut to the chase, Junior announced. What do we do about 50? Jamal broke his pre-swing routine and stared back at his cousin. I told you we have Carter James looking for him, and he's the best PI in Houston. Did you get Nina to do what needs to be done? Nina had a family emergency, Junior stated defensively, but I got someone tracking her down today. All she has to do is sign on the dotted line. The plan was for Nina to file assault charges against Ulysses, even though he had never laid a hand on her. But the commission of a violent crime would lead to Ulysses' arrest and would be grounds for his commitment to the flagship treatment facility now being developed by the Ambrose Burnside Johnson Foundation, a non-profit agency established by Tecumseh Sherman Johnson Sr. in honor of his deceased brother. Jamal launched his ball into flight. It arced nicely and landed in front of the flag. It then rolled and rolled and rolled until it was gone from sight. Junior cackled. Backspin, cousin. Backspin. Jamal tried to turn the conversation away from golf and back to business as Junior raced the cart to the lip of the green where his drive had settled. Business is simpler than golf. Everything is simpler than golf. Junior would barely miss a birdie, and Jamal would settle for a 3-over. At the Junior-imposed minimum wager of $10 per stroke, Jamal was on course to providing a major discount on his host's green fees. Junior liked to play fast, and talking business seemed to improve his concentration on golf, and the golfing improved his conversation. Jamal had a harder time multitasking and envied his better style cousin in his Houston Cougar scarlet and albino coordinates as he darted from hole to hole, probing Jamal on business details before, during, and after swings. Jamal recognized that he had made a poor fashion choice with his Callaway plaid, the clumsy Scottish wannabe golfer who looked like his mother dressed him. And he had a hard time fielding all of Junior's questions. Yes, he agreed that it might tip their hand to proceed too fast with avail bail, given that several local bail bond companies had recently been put out of business by male-born bioterrorism attacks. No, he had not approached his little sister Wilminica about running the very first avail bail franchise in Montgomery County. No, he did not believe that Beulah's son Jerry, a federal probation officer, had a clue about the depth of Johnson family activities. Jerry wasn't all that bright. And Jamal would fully agree that Betty's son Robert would have been an excellent choice to run the Ambrose Burnside Johnson Foundation had he not flunked out of law school last year. They concurred that he would probably come aboard as a community supervisor with so many recent openings. And both Junior and Jamal chuckled over Magnolia's daughter Shalila, faking the symptoms of respiratory anthrax so she could collect a check while she ran on the treadmill in her basement 6 hours a day as she watched Crime and Justice. The family had gone to extremes to assure that she had received a benign powder in the mail. And Junior would start the 16th hole retelling the story that Jamal never tired of hearing. Senior Johnson had aspired to create the most secretive and lucrative criminal enterprise in Houston by utilizing talent from his probation officer caseload. He always ran his business by proxy, and he always kept a low profile. The talent that worked for him did not know that they worked for him. They only knew that they were visited by mysterious black men who knew every detail of their lives and careers. The mysterious black men, the proxies, did not know one another. They reported to Senior, and he usually met them for business at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Senior had never been a drinker, but AA provided perfect cover. He could meet them in secret and call them at all hours of the night. If anyone asked, he was their sponsor. The only way Senior could ever get tripped up is one of the proxies wore a wire. But Senior would have smelled a rat, and no one ever turned on him. As Senior's family went to work for the criminal justice system, Senior was able to expand his personnel base. Senior instructed his trusted friends and relatives to accept small payments of cash from a certain lawyer named Milton Rosenblatt. Way back in those days, Mr. Rosenblatt was already an old man. He's still alive, but he's retired and he's in his late 90s. The trusted POs, or community supervisors as they would later be called, would pocket some rainy day money by providing names, addresses, skills, and so on. Senior was making the serious cash, and he was stuffing the right pockets to get his people promoted. The family soon had access to every convict in Harris County, and most criminals were unwittingly working for the Johnsons. Then Ulysses snapped, but no one realized it right away. He decided to do things his way. He started recruiting his own crew, and he didn't bother with proxies. He got a milky-skinned PO in the federal system to provide him with the Fed's best talent. He was rustling his own father's recruits. He had flouted every family rule. And worst of all, he was shooting off his mouth. Jamal relished Senior's Horatio Alger story. With each telling, Junior would purposely add a detail or two that he never shared with his cousin. Jamal savored these tidbits with Epicurean delight. Despite the $170 Jamal would provide his cousin as a result of his shooting in 96 to Junior 79, Jamal felt indebted to his host. The information his cousin imparted on the last 3 holes made his head spin, and Jamal wanted to return the favor. As Junior parked the cart at the clubhouse, Carter Earl rang Jamal's cell with vital information. Good news, 50 has been spotted, Jamal announced jubilantly. Where? At the residence of a certain chalky P.O., the chalky P.O. who carried his bastard. That would be the one, Jamal replied, scanning his cousin's face for a sign of satisfaction. He would settle for a faint nod.